I'm Justine here on the Browser-Based AIE podcast. I'm here with Itamar from Qodo. Thanks for being on the pod.
Pleasure to be here. Really exciting.
So tell us, how's AIE been for you? How was your talk this morning?
I gave a talk about the last human review, the last human code review, and that's I think where the future is going towards. And I see a lot of people here talking in the booth and exhibition about how to use AI agents reliably, and like these two things of where the future is going towards to, but how to get there step by step is what's exciting about this conference. Like people are realistic, they're visionaries, but realistic about the challenges around them, and that's really good.
Yeah, I love the name. I think the last code review is, I'm looking forward to that day as a developer myself.
Yeah, the last human code review.
Oh, last human code
Yeah, I
review,
need to
right.
add that.
Right, my two agents are still talking to each other and reviewing.
Yeah, that's right. Like basically we're seeing a future where there is a generative model or generative agents, and there is adversarial model and agent that they work together, like basically how humans do, but they will communicate in a different level, to be frank.
So, in your perspective, what does this future of like the last human code review look like? What do you imagine even like a year, 5 years from now that, that developing process is going to look like?
Yeah, if we zoom out, like we had quite a few technology breakthroughs with regards to software development and cloud, etc. And every time the abstraction like goes higher, upper, and I think that's what's going to happen next. And I'll explain how is that connected to code review. So basically, like what we did until today, developers, we would review line by line, right? But when we want to create trust with the code and we want to remove human review, like basically we're trying to increase velocity. So we need to change something, and we cannot review line by line. We can even probably cannot review diff by diff. So it means like if we stop looking at code when we generated it, we're probably going to stop looking at we're not going to look at every line of every diff of code when we're going to review it. So how is that going to look like? What we're seeing is like more of a graph-like representation of your software, right? Basically, here's your entire software architecture, different microservices, your SDKs, your libraries. How are they connected? Is a microservice connection? Is it like a library pooling? Is it a data pipeline? And each one of these like nodes, which are software modules, and the edges, which is the communication between them, will have like a rich representation for human and developers. And every time a new PR is kicking in, it's basically like lighting up a different part of that graph. It's touching that code with that blast radius in the graph, and with all the relevant like contracts that is being changed or being moved, and you're going to review that in that representation, approve or not. Maybe even a few PRs all at once that have touching the same blast radius, and having a report that everything that was reviewed in order to approve that, whether browsing on the UI in order to verify things, going to fetching information from the database to verify, running tens of or hundreds of tests, or just like taking a look on different rules and skills to verify, and all of that is being projected on a huge abstraction layer, which is a graph of your software. So that's how I think like it's going to look like 2027, not like 3 years from now, like 5 years
even like
from now.
in a few months from now, this graphical representation is a very innovative way of thinking about, developer tooling as well. And we at Browser-Based feel the same way. Like, I think a lot of these like non-deterministic tasks that like ultimately come to human judgment, like we can really pick apart and view like very differently from how we have before.
Yeah.
So, thinking about valuing and evaluating those decisions that an agent makes in the code base, what does Qodo think are like the high quality, bars of quality of like data security? What are the factors that you're thinking about when you're building out this graph?
I'll connect it to what you said about judgment. Right now, if you're using like coding agent, for example, or auto agents, you can see how amazing they are and becoming, but you can also feel if you really use them day to day for real use cases, real world, you're seeing how judgment is still in the human like control, and it still needs to be this way. And I think a lot of that is not because of the reasoning capabilities of the models, even if we would like to think that our reasoning is really good in our human brain, which they are. I think it's a lot about the context that we like, and the context is in a, not only like raw data or information, or if I keep knowledge, it's actually the experience and the wisdom. Let me break it down because I use some buzzwords. Like basically as humans, I've been there. I have my like scars on deleting a database by mistake or changing a line in how I access my database and having an outage, and I have a skin in the game of when things went bad and I need to like collect that information, and that's specific. It's not like a generic something learned from GitHub code base. And that information, we need to codify that, and we need to codify it in a way that is relevant. And we think that a graph representation is the way to go, because that piece of like scar that I have, or wisdom or experience, is related to this part of the graph or related to that part of the graph. And it needs to like self learn. The AI, the artificial wisdom system needs to learn how to propagate that information and change a long time. And I think like that's where the future is going to enable those artificial wisdom system to make higher level judgments. So the abstraction is going like higher and higher. The judgment is moving from tactical to higher tactical. In order to trust that, we need to learn that those systems have that experience, have that wisdom, and even skin in the game. I'm not sure how to accumulate that. Being punished, if you want in machine learning language, rewarded or punished, and not having the right context and the right time. And I think that's true for many of the agents, browsing agents, software development agents, review agents. They're going to have that kind of architecture. Looking forward 2026, 7, 8, 9. We're going to talk a lot about these topics.
I really like, the kind of like scarring and like skin of the game that you talk about. Because like, all these companies here at AIE today, like we're really just trying to like bake in human judgment into these agentic decisions. And so, curious about Qodo. I mean, you obviously have a lot of experience developing yourself. Yeah. How do you like teach this agent? How do you mold the perfect harness to like truly understand the human experience so that like maybe the human is less so in the loop, but like in the brain of the agent, and so that it knows that context?
So first of all, Qodo is not yet perfect. If it was, we probably win a Nobel Prize because we solved
getting there.
Software. Yeah, like I'm planning on 2030 or so.
You got it.
we have that recorded, right? Jesus. So basically, I think what I'm saying is that models or LLMs are already pretty good in encoding world universal knowledge, and it's phenomenal. Yeah. But how to apply it for each case, for each like task, might be different. And that is exactly where you need to have like a product, a platform that helps to accumulate that tribal knowledge, experience. We can go down to specific in order not to be buzzwords. If there are two developers discussing, or two agents, or an agent and a developer discussing in GitHub about some best practice about architecture, that decision eventually needs to be codified, and so that it could be used later. So just one example, if there is a skill that is applied 5 times and it caught 5 times a bug, and that bug never reached production, or it caught 5 times, but the bug did escape 2 times, that's experience. That needs to be codified. So when you ask me what is Qodo job, like right now in the near future, is harnessing AI to, and not only AI, like to be frank, like a lot of engineering, statistical analysis, different engineering principles and techniques, harnessing AI and those engineering techniques to codify the wisdom base, that tribal knowledge in a human readable way, and an Asian readable way, such that then agents can use that context to code in high quality, to review in high quality, and that's our job. Qodo is the AI code review and governance layer, but the moat that we're actually building for our customers is that wisdom base, that context engine that is specific for the organization. So a lot of our engineering is being put on that harnessing. How do we like use and collect that data in a reliable way that human can trust and agent can exploit and harness?
Very cool. Within this harness building, right, you talk a lot about like tribal knowledge. You brought up the example of the skill and like, a bug going back and forth. Like those are pretty like low level examples of, some human code review tasks. What do you think are the hardest, pieces of wisdom or tribal knowledge to codify right now? And what are like the main challenges that you're facing as you build this governance layer?
Yeah. So if you think about products that are meant for end users, I made some engineering change that caused one area of our product to load slower in favor of the other to load faster. Is it good? Is it bad? I have a scar as an engineering leader knowing that this will hurt the experience. How can you infer that from the code itself? It's not there. If you're a B2B company and you're selling like Qodo is selling to developer organization, we're kind of a mix because we do care about the developers, but it's selling into enterprise.
Yeah.
So we're like B2D2B, if you like, B2 developers to business. Then there's a lot of tribal knowledge of, they don't like developers hate when they need to click 5 times to set up something and not 2 times. Or if the basically you need to the DevOps need to refresh the paths, the tokens every month instead of every year. And you might basically choose a different architecture or a different engineering solution or product solution according to that experience. I'm trying to give examples that are very like you can relate to them easily, but there's hundreds, if not thousands of them that are very specific per organization. So these are kind of things that we need to codify. It could be go very, very deep into the UX UI or technical elements. Where do we do really good error handling so we can catch issues because our product is on-prem? These are very specific things for each product and organization, whether like we are serving a lot of clients like NVIDIA, Walmart, Intuit, Ford, etc. Each one of them are relatively unique in their deployment and their customer preferences and their engineering challenges, and that's what we're helping to the context we're helping to collect.
Very impressive. So the general intelligence layer like really does apply to so many different companies like NVIDIA, et cetera. Do you have a FDE team that goes and understands those engineering challenges and then comes back? I'm curious what your customer strategy is when it comes to adapting the different code bases.
We do have an FDE team, but the reason you see me hesitating is because I think the FDE team role is maybe a little bit different in many other cases. Basically, we wish to make Qodo adapt, continuously learn automatically. What are the best practices, preferences, standards, etc. And we don't want too much human involvement into that because then it's not scalable.
Right.
So, but we do have FDEs because sometimes, for example, different enterprise have rich context that is abnormal. I'm kind of like a Fortune 100 and my context is some SharePoint in a very specific location, and you want to build a new integration to include that in the context engine, and you want that to be in a really reliable way. We don't want to send agent automatically connecting that. And maybe you use agents with browser-based and whatever to do the first implementation of the integration, but you want an FDE to do that. But then a lot of the uplifting, we want afterwards to Qodo to do. Qodo, when you install Qodo, you do get a good experience on day 1, but at day 10 and week 10 and in month 10, that will be a very even eye-opening experience. And that's why we're careful and having an FDE working closely throughout the year, rather more FDE to make Qodo work and integrated well into your unique location of context that we want to enrich the context engine.
Right, because every agent should be its own FDE almost, right?
Yeah.
In a world in which, like you said, there's no more human code review, it's just agents talking to each other. Like, they need to be FDEs to each other. And I think it's like very interesting, the approach that you have in making humans completely hands off and for this like self-learning process to be completely scalable in a way we've never seen before.
I think this, what you said, like, is one of the concepts I would take from AI engineering World Fair is that whatever you're building, I don't know if everything in the world, but maybe a lot of things in the world, from now on, you need to think about what is the interface for the humans, what is the interface for the agents. For example, a lot of our customers probably will have agents on the other side that can work with Qodo agents to build out context engine in the future. Automatically, you don't need to FD. That's maybe a little futuristic. When I'm saying that, I mean like 2027, not 2041. But already right now, like Qodo, for example, we have an interface for humans. They need to be simple. Don't overload with context. Maybe I need to click. But for agents, hey, here's the full graph. Here's what could go wrong and right. Like, could be like, I shouldn't be like 1 million context all up front. But it could be like actually really rich because, when you want to search, you go to Google or use an agent. You don't go to library anymore because of the capability of agent to absorb a lot of context. Or Google. And the same thing with Qodo and the coding agent that we interact with. The coding agent can take a lot of context, so Qodo has an interface for that. So I totally agree with you that the future is also two agents talking to each other and solving what FDEs are doing today. Maybe not 2026, maybe 2027, 2028, but the concept is very important. Like, how do we build products that serve both audiences and still keep humans in the control? Highly observable, auditable, for humans to control, observe, and audit as immediately as the agents work.
Very meaningful North Star. It's been very consistent in all of my conversations today is I think everyone from researchers to CEOs to engineers are thinking how do we keep human judgment in the loop?
Yeah.
And I think, in a time where agents are basically everywhere, I think it's very valuable that even the most technical developer tooling teams are really thinking about where a human judgment sits in the ecosystem. So.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming on today. I learned so much about Qodo and your journey and also how you're going to make the last human code review.
Thank you so much for having me here. It was really a pleasure.